Mini episode 1322 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by Sportsology, delivering unconventional columns and webcasts about sports, TV, music, movies, and more. Follow them on the web at sportsology.com.
The FDH Lounge. You'll want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Hello and welcome to FDH Lounge mini episode 1322, the weekly FDH football preview show. I'm FDH Managing Partner Rick Morris here with our preview for the 2020-2021 NFL Divisional Round in our 17th year of coverage. Last week we went 2-3-1, bringing us to 140, 111, and 11 on the year, still at 56%. For each of these games, we'll include our FDH Ultimate Quantitative Baseline, or UQB, in the analysis. It's an amalgam of the following 10 different indexes: the FDH Lounge Final Power Rankings for 2020, the FDH Lounge Rankings for Impressiveness of Victories, based equally on a team's victories and the strength of the schedule that they played, strength of schedule based on the FDH Power Rankings, offensive yards gained, defensive yards allowed, time of possession, DVOA, offensive DVOA, defensive DVOA, and special teams DVOA. In each game this week, the dog has less marks in their favor, so we'll just mention those for the sake of simplicity. In Saturday's opener, Green Bay is laying 6.5 to the LA Rams, who were better in strength of schedule, defensive yards, and defensive DVOA. Also, the teams are tied in the Impressiveness of Victories Index. The temptation is to pronounce this a classic offense versus defense battle, but that sells short the other two units involved in this game. While we sold the Rams O short last week, minus a healthy thumb for Jared Goff, and it provided enough to get them through, on the frozen tundra and with a banged-up Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball, we will probably be right a week later. More than many of the other teams in this year's playoff field, LA has had high highs and low lows. Even if the vaunted Ramsey-Adams matchup plays out in their favor, as it very well might, we are more likely to encounter the Mr. Hyde Rams. Lay the points. In the nightcap, Buffalo is laying 2.5 to Baltimore, who has the edge in defensive yards, defensive DVOA, and special teams DVOA. As we said on our overall playoff preview, the Bills exceeded many expectations this year, not merely winning a division by default that the Patriots had abdicated, but legitimately becoming one of the most dominant teams in the league. And this is one of the rare times in the playoffs when there was a significant difference in regular season scheduling between the teams. The Bills led the league on our Impressiveness of Victories Index, while the Ravens were only 26th. Buffalo has a more proven passing game to boot, and they will win and cover, albeit barely, in what could be a classic. On Sunday afternoon, Kansas City is laying 10 to Cleveland. The Browns were better in time of possession. That's it. No great surprise, really, since Seatown made it here on the strength of a balanced and explosive offense, but nobody's better on that side of the ball than Kansas City, as opposed to their injury-riddled and often poor back seven, which isn't even as good as the Chiefs' middle-of-the-pack defense. If the Browns force many turnovers again, whilst making none of their own, and if Chubb and Hunt can wear out this defense in the process, then maybe, just maybe, the good guys can eke out another miracle. But the more likely scenario is a struggle to stay close, which is why we're laying the points while hoping we were wrong, like in the Pittsburgh game last week. In the weekend's final game, New Orleans is laying 3 to Tampa Bay. The Bucs have the edge in strength of schedule, offensive yards, and offensive DVOA. This won't be a blowout like the two previous meetings. Instead, it will be the classic that you would expect, seeing Breeze and Brady meeting up in the postseason. It's uncanny that, aside from the Saints' gargantuan lead in time of possession, the teams are not separated by more than 5 spots in the standings of any of the other 9 metrics in the UQB. You rarely find two teams so evenly matched statistically. Tampa needs a mega shootout to win in all likelihood, as that's the scenario where Drew Brees may struggle to keep up. But in a game that we look to have moderate scoring, by today's standards, New Orleans wins and ekes out a cover. Thank you for joining us for this mini episode of the FDH Lounge.